why most people should not start a coffee business.
Right.
So is it difficult to source green beans in India? What should be the budget to start a coffee roastery in a tier 2 city? Hi AJ, welcome to Spilling Beans. So we are shooting the first episode of Spilling Beans today. I really am looking forward to share the insights with the audience by the end of the episode, how to become a coffee entrepreneur. And I really thought I should start the first episode with you since we have been known each other since
Thank you.
long time, and you've been giving us space to host the Delhi Coffee Collective meetups here.
My pleasure.
So I was very curious to know your journey of from corporate to coffee, and I'm sure like you must have inspired a lot of people already in terms of that exit that you made,
Right.
and a lot of people have already reached out to me. They're saying that how can we become coffee entrepreneur, or how do we start a coffee roastery or a cafe? There are so many aspiring entrepreneurs who are trying to exit the corporate. Like me, I also did this moves 1 year ago where I exited corporate to become a coffee entrepreneur. But these questions came to my mind also. But today I thought it would be right to ask you the questions and understand how was it to exit corporate
Yeah.
and enter coffee industry.
Cool. Thank you so much for having me over, Parmit. Now that being said, no, this is the funniest story ever, right? So I've entered coffee, then exited coffee, entered corporate, then exited corporate, right? So that's like an additional step that went through. But just to give you a bit of background, I started working with coffee when I was about 18 years old.
Wow.
And this was when I was studying for university.
Uh-huh.
And then through the time, right, coffee is kind of shaped in. So it came in and out of life pretty much. But once I came back to India, once I relocated back to India, I was in corporate full time for a long time. So it started with American Express, then with other corporates as well, with different roles. But I think one of the things that I can always remember is coffee was always a part of it somehow, anyhow. So that was the idea when I eventually jumped ship to coffee, right? It never felt like something new. It was always something that had been going on in the background for the last 8-9 years that I've been here. So yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, and what made you take the call? Like, did you take the call instantly? Okay, you've been brewing coffee, you've been working as a lead analyst in American Express, and you are doing second shift as a barista somewhere else. Was that like this, or you just suddenly thought and decided that, okay, I'll exit corporate and do it?
So for the longest time, I used to have my corporate job. At the same time, right, I was very keen on attending all these. So back then, there was a desert landscape. Not much going on as compared to now, right? But I used to turn up to barista championships, just cheer for like folks.
Oh, wow.
I used to turn up to like events wherever I see coffee. Now back then, not much was happening in terms of cafe Sida. So Brewtoga was one of those first cafes that we'd work together for a while as well while I was in
Australian.
corporate. In Delhi,
Okay.
as a matter of fact. It's probably right across the road.
Yeah.
Back then, they had their first cafe,
Right.
and we used to have a lot of fun experimenting, creating new things. And bit by bit, right, like I got to know more people in the coffee space, like Suhas, Paul, all of these guys who are, right in the beginning. And we used to just like do a bit. Then, with the Aeropress Championships and much more things started happening over. Like even before COVID, there was so much crowd, there was so much interest. I volunteered for a bunch of events. I volunteered for like a bunch of, just to be a part of the space. And that kind of started off essentially. But bit by bit, as you go on, right, like I feel like you need more of what you're doing with coffee or your passion essentially. And that's where you start dipping your toes with more professional arrangements, with different formats.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you find your niche. For me, it was with Caribe, the product, right? So I always wanted to have a coffee product. And that's how that was a tipping point over where I'm like, you know what, probably I shouldn't do a full-time job. I shouldn't work a full-time job anymore. So that I can focus a little more on, getting the best goddamn coffee out there. So that's
pretty amazing that, I am able to understand a pattern of, you pivoting continuously from lead analyst, then you started barista, and you started coffee consulting or cafe consulting, and then moved into coffee roasting, and founded a coffee roastery.
Hmm.
It's a complete evolution of throughout the years.
Definitely. I mean, as a matter of fact, I think over the years, no, these friends you make, these connections you make,
Yeah.
they all come back full circle. And then suddenly, you're brainstorming with somebody who's equally passionate about coffee. And then suddenly, things come out of thin air. Like, it's I wouldn't say it's overnight, but
Yeah, sure.
it is definitely one of those things when it comes on ground execution, right? Like it makes so much sense. So that's Caribbean is an example of that. Yeah.
Yeah, pointing out the Caribbean.
Yeah.
A moment ago, we were doing that exercise of spelling Caribbean.
Yeah.
Or pronouncing Caribbean.
Right.
Yeah. How did you came with it? Karabi, Rabi, Rabika, 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 is that?
So originally it's an anagram,
meaningful.
right? Like, so if you take the last two letters or CA of
Yes.
Arabica, put it in the front.
Ah.
It's just Caribbean, right?
Yeah.
So when you say it time and time again, Arabica, and then it has Caribbean in there, out there. So that's the idea.
That's how I was able to explain it to others that
Yeah.
you call it Caribbean.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've had versions of it. Some people
Uh-huh.
call it Karabi. Some people call it like there's so many different versions, but Caribbean is how you spell it out. So that makes it easier. Yeah.
And branding plays a huge role in your
Yeah.
journey itself,
Yeah.
right? When you started Caribbean Coffee Roasters,
Right.
you seems like you had the vision that this is how I want to look like, this is how I want to be perceived.
So
Or did you also pivot in terms of the brand understanding of Caribbean?
if I have to put it through, right, I'm blind, like I'm design blind. That's what I call it, right? So the entire credit for this goes to our creative director, Vicky. So originally, when this project was conceptualized, me, my partner Shivam, and then Vicky. So Vicky is responsible for the look and feel of the space,
It's beautiful.
the look and feel of the products,
Yeah.
and like the whole design philosophy
Yeah.
comes in from there.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm of course the technical kind of guy, so who's like, no, this word has to be replaced, that kind of thing. But it kind of flows through. Then Vicky helped us form the team, which now designs most of what Caribbean does. And yeah, that's where it's at.
Nice. You are two co-founders. You are there, and Shubham
My
is
partner,
there.
Shivam, yeah.
Shubham is there.
Mm.
How's your partnership? And did it cause any hurdle or it cause any benefit working with the second person?
Yeah, that's the most important thing. You got to have the right partnership, the right
Yeah,
camaraderie.
I agree with you.
Because if it doesn't work out, it goes all south. So I've been lucky that we probably talk to each other more than we talk to people at our home. Right? Like that's the idea. But the entirety of our conversation revolves around this little baby, which is Caribbean,
Yeah.
on how to get it through. So we step into each other's roles quite a bit. So that mere understanding, right? Like apart from work, we also have personal goals. We have personal aspirations, and us stepping up whenever it's required, right? That makes it all worth it, sort of. So I think that's the right spirit of partnership, wherein a lot of empathy comes into play. So that's the idea. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. The right partner makes it whole easier and also very progressive.
No doubt.
Absolutely. When I first heard about that omakase experience, I was very surprised that somebody is starting something like this in the coffee industry.
Right.
That's quite revolutionary, to be honest, and providing that whole experience of how do I put it, like barista experience
Yeah.
or something like that. Is
Yeah.
that the right way to put it?
You can definitely put it more, narrative-led experiences.
Uh-huh.
So there's
Okay.
a story-led experience
Hmm.
to it.
Yeah.
With the omakase, we originally came up with it because we were, number one, very bored. But more importantly, we were really inspired by what's going on in around the world, right? So there are some extremely good omakase experiences in food, in the bar space, the alcohol space, in coffee space as well. We want to have our own version of it. Now the thing is, we never have a cafe. We've always been powering cafes around the country. So we're like, you know what? Let's probably use our lab, use it as a makeshift omakase studio, and see how it comes in. Now you've been a part of one of the sessions.
Yeah, I was in the V1.
And it's a small gathering in there, but essentially the whole story that flows around it. Plus, it went through many iterations, right? So in the beginning, for the month and a half, I was just practicing on what works best. How do you avoid those awkward spaces when you practically hijacked a group of 4 people, right? Like in one room. But then things fell into place a little bit. Then I realized everybody with coffee has different experiences. Now to tap into them, talking about those experiences, kind of makes my journey a bit easier with the omakase as well. But more importantly, I think it's about like the meticulous fashion that farmers really pick their coffee up, right? To kind of mute everything else and have a good amount of focus vision on what's in your cup in front of you. That's the idea of what led to the omakase.
Tell me in just one simple one sentence, what is omakase?
Sure. So I'll give you a small brief here.
Huh.
Omakase practically translates to up to the chef, right? So in Japan, where there are the little sushi bars, right, doing amazing stuff. Now, seafood is their primary diet. Now, if you know something about seafood, not every catch is the same. Not every day you have the same spread. Now, as a result, instead of having a traditional menu, the offerings change by the day. And from there on, it kind of got inspired and took a life onto its own. Now you have bars which offer omakase. You have restaurants which offer omakase much larger than sushi spaces out there. Now it's in a sense, right? There's many variations that you see. Some people ask you for your preference of taste and flavor, and then offer you something accordingly. Some people make a theme out of it and put in a set menu. But it's in the end, right? It's all about focusing on the high-end ingredients on your plate or on what's in your cup or those ones here. So that's the whole ethos of omakase essentially.
Yeah, it's very interesting that, first when I tried the omakase experience, I was sitting right here.
Yeah.
It just reminded me of that exact experience that is there in Barista Championship where,
Wow. Yeah.
where the judges are sitting right there and
Yeah.
you're just, providing them with the
So
experience
imagine
of what
a
you are
barista
doing.
championship, but there's no timer.
Yeah, there's no time.
Yeah, so that's that. And no spoon sheets probably. So
Nobody is
Yeah.
judging the hygiene.
I think it's more to do with when you're in front of 4 different strangers in front of the omakase, right?
Yeah.
You at least try and master your craft so much, try and minimize your mistakes. It's almost like a synchronization. It's almost like a dance, right? I always tell this to my baristas who I work with. Behind the bar, it's almost like a dance. Your sequence have to be well synchronized, well timed, and well rehearsed. Now, what makes it different than anything else is, the more you practice, the more you are behind the bar, the more seamless it gets. So afterwards, it's very fluid motion,
Yeah.
muscle memory, all of these things come in. So that's the idea.
Yeah, totally get it, man. I mean, in Delhi Coffee Collective, we try to prepare some recipes which
Yeah.
are specific to certain type of audience,
Right.
and it's challenging absolutely
I
to
can imagine.
understand that, how do you personalize the whole experience?
Right.
It's very challenging. The journey, I mean, I'm able to get that you have been very experimental.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Risk
With
has
this
been a big part
coming
of.
up with the omakase
Yeah.
and coming up with a different whole, look and feel for the brand itself and taking charge in terms of, preparing the whole Delhi coffee scene.
Right.
I remember meeting you almost like 1.5 years ago, and Delhi coffee scene then and Delhi coffee scene now,
Yeah.
it is changing like a great amount of
Huge.
cafes and, restaurants are coming up who are serving coffee.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you've been doing a lot of B2B to those places in Delhi and other places also.
Absolutely. I mean, so Delhi in particular for sure, but I probably could call India my market now because we now supply to about 35 plus cities all across India.
Damn.
And, there are different formats of restaurants. We have independent cafes who buy from us. We have large chains who buy from us. We have, highly reputed restaurants who procure coffee from us. The idea is with the B2B space, right? It's always when, we don't want to sell just coffee beans. We really want to solve one essential problem. How do you get good goddamn coffee in your offering? That's the idea, right? So coffee beans is a side effect probably,
Yeah.
selling the coffee beans.
Yes.
But around it plays a lot of things, So when your client needs ideas for their drinks, or when they need some additional ancillary training support, or when they need, something out of the box. So for us, it's something that we do day in, day out. We breathe this day in, day out. So as a result, our algorithms are also focused on coffee. So we put our minds together on how to get this done. Execution plays a big part of it. So that's what the most cherished part of it is when we help clients achieve their goals, and which in turn leads for more sales. And that's like a great cycle to have.
1.5 years ago, I was sort of, in the space that, okay, now I am exiting the corporate.
Yeah.
And should I start a coffee roastery,
Yeah.
or should I start a coffee, white labeling, or just become a barista?
Right.
There are so many options.
Different ways to go about it.
Yeah, there are so many options to go behind in coffee roastery. And then 1.5 year later, I see you managing a huge team of people and delivering it to so many people, delivering it to so many cafes, restaurants, hotels.
Yeah.
How did this turn up in terms of, roasting 1 kg to so many tons of coffee? It's like a lot of people you need to manage, a lot of working hours. It might be really exhausting, right?
So I'll tell you something which might sound very unpopular. You know how people say, I got rid of my corporate job so I could achieve freedom. I kind of feel the entire reason that I was in corporate, like the entire aftermath of it, right, is it taught me how to structure my work with my own workspace. So what I've learned in corporate, the leadership skills, or things I've been taught by my mentors, or how to structure work in a space, or you even in corporate, you get handed challenges every day. You still find ways to work it out, and now multiply that by 10x, and then you ended up into a place which you run
Yeah.
out of your own business. So I am always of the opinion that corporate working in corporate has enriched my understanding of how to probably solve things in a real time fashion rather than it being a limiting factor for me. And that's essentially where it's at, right? Like, so a lot of times what happens is you might see ethos of what I've achieved through the last 9 years in corporate, kind of mirroring in through the business part of it.
It all becomes like an integration of all your skills.
Absolutely. So
Right.
what you've learned pretty much,
Yeah.
and that's essentially where it happens. So when you're probably roasting about say 20 kilos a month,
Yeah.
now versus you roasting about 10,000 kilos a month. And then, you're able to structure it because you've been handed similar challenges with a different product set probably.
You
But
can make better processes.
yeah,
Yeah,
and that's the idea.
absolutely-
If the larger the company, right, the more detailed systems that they have Six Sigma, they have all of these certifications as well. You go through a part of these, unconsciously they creep up into your workflow over here as well. And then, you don't have to put it in a structured fashion anyway, but it still gives you great ideas to, okay, I probably can take this route and then it's more efficient. So
Yeah.
that's the idea.
Yeah, that's like from Jira to this
Yeah,
words.
exactly.
Thank you so much for watching Spilling Beans. And in today's episode, we spent time and deep dive into how to start a coffee roastery or how to start a cafe, how to become a coffee entrepreneur. And AJ was really great help in terms of providing the insights of what to do and what not to do to become a coffee entrepreneur. In the next episode, I will be deep diving into a new topic. So if you have something in mind that you want me to talk about, please drop down in the comments, and I'm going to make sure that I find the right person to answer those questions. Thank you for watching.